Warren Weeks sold his first newspaper to his grandmother at the age of 5. He was Wayne Gretzky's PR handler for a day in 1998, and over the past 2 decades, he became one of Canada's most popular and trusted media trainers. Thousands of spokespeople from a wide range of industries have called upon Warren to learn how to take greater control over their media interviews and to improve their media relations. He has established a reputation providing executives with sound strategic communications counsel under tight timelines and volatile circumstances. Some of his works includes disruptions, bankruptcies, mergers, acquisitions, plant closures, food water contaminations, and more. In the summer of 2000, he spent 3.5 months in the town of Walkerton during their notorious E. coli water contamination crisis. Everyone, please warm welcome for Warren.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. How are you? CSAE, what's up? I was going to ask, how the hell did I get in the Hamilton tourism video? That was so odd. I was going to say, did you see that weird-looking guy there? So before I start, I just want to thank CSAE and Tracy and Chris and the gang for having me here. I know that there are a lot of great folks you could have had up on the stage, so I just want to say thank you. And once again, one of the best conferences in the whole industry, so thank you very much. Let's clap them up for that. So before I start, I do have a little bit of a contest. Anyone who's been to any of my sessions knows I like giving books away. I haven't written any of them, which is a different story. But and since we're talking about social media today, I want it to be a social media issue. So I did a podcast interview with Brett Wilson, the guy from Dragon's Den, a couple months ago. And so I had a great chat with him, and I got some autographed books from him. So what I'd ask you to do, and oh, by the way, tweet it up in here, and Instagram, whatever you guys are on, MySpace, if anyone's still on that. Because I've been watching what you guys are doing. I wouldn't be surprised if some of you are on MySpace still. So what I'd like you to do, it's said with love. I said with love. So what I'd like you to do is tweet out to an influencer. You can decide who that is, but I'd like it to be somebody of some stature or note. It can't be like your cousin Bernie, the dentist, or something like that, right? But I'd like you to tweet out to an influencer and get them to engage with you. Get them to retweet your tweet, to like your post, to do whatever, but to have some sort of engagement. And the first 2 people that get to do that will win these autographed books from Brett Wilson. So what I'd like you to do, and I can't really see super well, but when you when someone does it, I see people tweeting already. Karen's going bonkers on her phone there. Put your hand up, just say, I've got one, let me know, sort of get my attention, and then we'll give those books away. And it's been one of the funner things in the past. So I also want to say that, when you heard my kind of highlight reel there, it sounds like a nightmare, all these contaminations and bankruptcies and everything else I've been working on. So the point of that is I'm not here talking about social media because I like social media or because I enjoy social media. What I actually like is writing news releases and articles, sitting in a pair of shorts and a t-shirt at my house, sending them out, and I didn't have to even comb my hair. That's what I liked. But the world changed, and we are in a battle for attention. So I think I do a lot of work with associations, and I know that your email open rates are going down. Your click rates are going down. Your conversions are going down. Your magazines are going into the blue box unopened. And the reason that I'm here today is that we're living our lives differently than we're running our associations. I've been watching everybody here over the past couple of days, and everybody's taking their selfies and posting them and hashtagging it, and you're on Instagram when you have 3 spare minutes that you're in a lineup somewhere. So that's how you're living your life. But in terms of the way you're running your associations, a lot of you haven't bought into the fact that you need to be using these tools to further your mandates, to be the media, all those different things. I think media training is what I do for a business, but I think over the next couple of years, that might not even be a thing to do because really we see the media being disrupted and we see social media climbing up. And what I think is going to happen is that associations have the opportunity to be the media instead of trying to get the media to cover us. So we're in a huge battle for our members' attention, for our suppliers, our vendors, anybody in your audience. And in a 2018 world, we're getting obliterated with messages and with content. So you need to be able to tell stories in a way and on platforms that people are already using. As you saw, just take a look around, the way people are living their lives. People are using these tools, so we need to start using them. Now again, I don't want to be harsh, I don't want to be too judgmental, but I did a little bit of auditing of what some of you folks are doing on social media. Some of you are doing a great job, but a lot of you, I'd say, haven't super bought into the fact that this is something that has ROI. I'm going to show a lot of examples today. I went really out of my way that I'm not going to have any examples of anybody in this room. I don't want to be just outright mean, but we're going to be making fun of some folks in British Columbia and Alberta and the United States. And the funny thing is, like, I shouldn't feel bad about showing you this stuff because they wanted you to see it. Like, someone wrote it, hit publish, and sent it out to the world. But they probably didn't want you to see it in the way that I'm going to show you. So actually, this is one of the most reliable phones I also ever had. I don't know, it was $15 a month. It weighed about 9 pounds, but the signal was fantastic. So I want to show you some examples of what organizations are doing out there in the realm of social media. And we're going to go a little bit around the map and show you some different things. So I found this festival in the United States, and this is not, I didn't do this 5 years ago. I did this a month ago. The Johnny Appleseed Festival sounds like a really fun thing to go to, and I wanted to see what are these guys doing on social media. And so I play internet roulette. I go to all these different sites and associations, and I audit what they're doing. So as you can see up in the top right corner, they weren't really doing anything on Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn, any of those things, but they had a Facebook page. So like, okay, they have this festival coming up. It's in September. I want to see how they're marketing it. So I click on the Facebook button, and I get this. So clearly, someone's not doing their job. How does this happen in a 2018 world? Now, the American Poultry Association. I want you to check out their little nickname under the circle. I'm not sure who came up with that. So, they have 11 total tweets. They joined in May of 2014. They joined Twitter in May of 2014, and they effectively quit Twitter in May of 2014. They sent out 11 tweets, and they're like, you know what, this sucks. This isn't for us. This isn't working. And I would say it's not the tools, it's the person using them. Like a hockey stick in my hands is useless. The ROI of that hockey stick is 0. You put that same hockey stick in Alexander Ovechkin's hands, and he's hoisting the Stanley Cup. Take a look at this one. The American Swimming Coaches Association. They joined Twitter in May of 2016, and they stopped tweeting in August 2017. And you just think about the stories and swimming and adversity and competition, and all the great opportunities, and they're like, not for us. You think about the beauty and the sort of cosmetology world. This is the American Association of Cosmetology Schools. You're thinking like the Kardashians and selfies and duck face and all those different things that have all these great things to talk about, and here we are, 11 tweets. They joined in 2011, so they've basically been putting out about a tweet a year, right? And so the point of this, and again, I'm not putting these up here just to make fun of them. What I want to show you is that it doesn't matter what industry you're in. It doesn't matter if what you do is fun or cool or sexy, because this is a sexy industry. Swimming is kind of a cool sport, Michael Phelps and all that stuff. And they're not doing what they need to be doing on social media to further their mandates. Now, you know who is killing it? The American Association of Geographers. Right? What more boring organization could you find, like dudes with maps and protractors and all those different things? But I want you to take a look at some of their just high-level stats. 12,000 followers, super good engagement. They're replying to people in the tweets and replies. They have awesome photos. And as I was trying to get a screen grab from their thing, they tweeted like 3 times in the course of about 5 minutes. The swimming guys or the cosmetology would have taken them 3 years to do that. You know who else is killing it? The American Gastroenterological Association. I literally couldn't find a less attractive sort of niche to be in. I'm sure it's super important, but it's not, it just doesn't scream Instagram. Meanwhile, 20,000 followers, 14,000 tweets, and a lot of great engagement. So they're doing a great job. The point of that is, the theme in all of these, when I see an organization doing it well, and when I see an organization not doing it well, the key doesn't come down to Facebook or Twitter or the millennials that they have working in their office. The key comes down to the people in this room. The key comes down to leadership. It comes down to a decision of the CEO or the chair or the executive director to say, this is something that we need to be doing to further our mandates, to get on the agendas. A lot of you are still buying magazine ads, bus shelter ads on actual buses. Like I live in Oakville and I see these real estate dudes on buses all the time, which I'm sure that's great, but I think it's overpriced in a 2018 world because you can't tell me that the passenger in the car is actually looking at those billboards. They're sitting there looking at their phone. So I want you to understand that it's not too late. Even in a 2018 world, you think, you know what, Twitter's been out since, 2006, and Facebook, our great-grandparents are on Facebook now. I want you to understand that it's not too late. There are organizations that are even starting this up now, and if you do a good job, and so what I want to do next is talk about some of the key areas that you can start doing today to have better outcomes in social media, and I encourage you to do this actively throughout the session and ongoing, and hopefully after the weekend you can pull it out. One of the core foundational pieces that I want you to really, really, really understand is that if you're not putting out content in some way, whether that's written words, videos, images, audio, podcasts, whatever it is, that your organization, for all intents and purposes, really doesn't exist. Think of the last time you were looking for a restaurant, or a dentist, or a train schedule. Where did you go? You went to your phone. And when people are looking for what you do, they're going to their phone as well. And if you're not there, if you're not on page 1 or 2 of Google, the rest of the pages might as well not even exist. If you're not on the first couple pages, your relevance is going to go down. And if you don't have that audience built up, by the time you need it, we talked about crisis communications yesterday and the fact that the company Crock-Pot was in a big kerfuffle when they killed one of the characters on This Is Us. Spoiler alert, I don't know if anyone's hasn't seen that show. But the company, they had this big crisis to deal with, and they weren't even on Twitter, and this is in February. So they had to, but they fixed it up very quickly, but the fact that they're not on there is crazy. So if you do one thing, I want you to start creating content. You don't need a team, you don't need $20,000, you just need this. It's in your pocket. You could have sent people to the moon with this in the 1960s. So how do we start engaging better? Because if you saw the name of the presentation, it wasn't social media is awesome. It was start engaging and stop pushing. Because I think a lot of us are using social media tools. I see heads nodding in the audience. A lot of us are using social media tools the same way that we would use Canada Newswire. We just shove it out at people, we turn around and we walk away. And that's not the right way to use social media. How many people in this room have personally engaged with me on social media in the last 2 or 3 days? Put your hands up. It's quite a number of hands. So thank you very much for that as well. So we're using it as a one-way tool. We're just sending out our information, and it's certainly half of the battle, right? But it's not the most important part. Now, I want you to do this for your organization, whether you're really clued into the social media thing or you're not. I want you to go to your Twitter page. Hopefully you have one. I'm not even going to ask if you don't. I want you to go to your Twitter page, and right beside where it says tweets, you'll see a little tab that says tweets and replies. That is where the magic happens. I want you to click on tweets and replies, because then when you scroll down, what you get to see is the actual engagement that these organizations are having. This isn't just the one-way stuff that you're pushing out. These are the conversations that you're having. And very, very sadly, of the organizations that I audit, doesn't matter where they are, I would say that literally 80 or 90% do zero engagement at all, zero two-way conversation, which is really the magic of social media. So that's one of the very quickest and easiest things that you can fix. And I want to show you an example of that. This, if you go to I invite you, go to my Twitter page, click on tweets and replies, and you will see that the vast, vast majority of the content that I put out is conversation. So some of you might see your names on the screen. These are conversations that I had one-on-one with people. So I did a talk yesterday, finished the talk, went to my room, and I spent the next half hour communicating with people on Twitter and making those little micro connections. And it's really, really important. Now I want to show you some metrics that go along with that. I have a thing called Sprout Social. It's a social media management tool, and it shows you over my last 100 tweets, 90% of them were conversation, 10% of them were updates, where I retweet something or news, or I just put out something to the world. This is the ratio that you should be aiming for. And I would say that very sadly, if you put your organization's name into that machine and had it crank out the results, it would probably be the exact opposite, 90 to 100% of just you pushing out your content. And then, guess what happens? When you go down the list, nobody's liking it, nobody's retweeting it, nobody's engaging with it. So one of the first things you need to do before you can do that is you have to start listening. So what are people actually saying about your organization or about the topics and issues that matter to you? So how many people in this room can actually say that they have a formal listening protocol set up for social media? So they have a tool or a platform where you're looking for keywords and you're getting them actively fed to you. How many people in this room? Take a look around. It's about 6 hands. And so it's very, very easy to do. First of all, thank you very much and congratulations to the people that are doing that. You can't engage with somebody if you don't know that they've tweeted about you. So there are a couple great tools I'll give you for this. One of them, you should, Google News Alerts are free. If you have media relations packages coming in, that's fantastic as well. But go to something like TweetDeck. I don't know if you've ever heard of that before, but TweetDeck is owned by Twitter. And so if you're logged into Twitter, you don't even need to do anything. You just type in tweetdeck.com and it will open up. And then you can have all these different little columns of things that you're following. So one of the ways that I use this for clients now is issues management. So I have a nursing association client that had some issues they were working on. We went into their office and we set up TweetDeck. So we had all these different columns of all the mentions and who's talking about this and that. And we're responding to them in real time in their boredom. It looked like something out of Star Trek. It was awesome. So set up a listening protocol, look for your keywords, look for your organization, look for things that are saying. And one of the things that's really cool about Twitter is you can do it based on geography, because if someone's talking about you in Brazil, that's not as important as if they're talking about you in Hamilton or London, if that's where you happen to be. So more than anything else, I really, really implore you to just get in there and try it. Tinker around. You're not gonna break the internet, right? That's my mom's old thing. Like, she didn't want to touch a computer because she might mess it up or she might break the system. Get in there, try it out, become a practitioner, see what works and see what doesn't, and then just keep doing more of the stuff that works and less of the stuff that doesn't. So, I would like to share with you a personal story of mine when it comes to engagement on social media. Some of you may know that I'm from Sault Ste. Marie. Any Sault Ste. Marie folks in the room? That's the right response. So, another one, beautiful. So I'm from the Sioux, and we have this winter carnival called the Bon Sioux Carnival. I don't know if this might be frightening to some of you, but this is Mr. Bon Sioux. And if you're from the Sioux, this guy is like Superman and Spider-Man rolled up into one. He's this big, giant-headed mascot guy for the winter carnival, and he's been there forever, and I met him when I was a kid, and his head was even bigger because I was even shorter, now that I'm super tall now. But I was getting ready for a conference a couple months ago, and I was looking for examples. I wanted to find good examples, bad examples. So I wanted to start doing some engagement. So it's a Friday night. My kids are watching YouTube videos, because that's what TV is now for kids, right? My kids are watching YouTube videos, and then I'm just testing all these organizations. I'm sending out tweets, and I'm fully not expecting to get any replies from any of them. So what do? Because Mr. Bon Sioux, by the way, followed me about 4 years ago, and it was one of the best days of my life. When it comes to Twitter, I've had two really, really cool things. Mr. Bon Sioux followed me one day, just randomly, out of the blue, and I got a tweet from the Fonz, which was like the best. So Henry Winkler tweeted me. It was probably just a pity tweet anyway. No way. From who? Is that okay, all right. You want to come and grab this right now? Would it be okay if we just sort of hand that back to that lady? Thank you very much. So we have one winner. I was going to say no politicians, but okay. I'm joking. Okay. All right. That's a different session. So I sent a tweet out to Mr. Bon Sioux at 8:28 on a Friday night, and I'm fully expecting nothing to happen. So I say, Mr. Bon Sioux, how's it going? And literally about 3 minutes later, my phone buzzes, and I get this. It's going great, Warren Weeks. A little warmer now after the carnival. How are you? I'm like, oh my God. But think about this. On a Tuesday afternoon at 3 o'clock, it's mind-blowing enough. But at 8:28 on a Friday night, Mr. Bon Sioux is tweeting to me. So I keep it going, right? So it's going well. Thanks for asking. Do they have you working on a Friday night? Doesn't Mr. Bon Sioux ever get to rest? Mr. Bon Sioux's back now. We're in a full-blown conversation. Yes, I'm usually busy year-round. Smiley face. Your emoji games need to get elevated as well. Planning for the next carnival already. It's a lot of work to get things set up. I say, thanks for the quick replies. A friend and I are doing a talk about social media for festivals next week, and we're going to use you as an example of great engagement. Thumbs up. Mr. Bon Sioux says, that sounds great. We appreciate your support as always. Stop by if you're ever in the city of Sault Ste. Marie. And this is where things get touching, if you have your tissues ready. I say, the Sioux is my hometown. I met you when I was a kid. And then Mr. Bon Sioux retweeted your reply. Mr. Bon Sioux liked your reply. And the point of that is, I don't know if this person is a 19-year-old co-op student, right? I don't know if this person is a 68-year-old man. But it doesn't matter, because to me, it's Mr. Bon Sioux. And I very well may be going to the Bon Sioux Carnival next year. So is your organization doing this level of engagement? And if you're not, I think you need to look at some things. So I'm not saying you need to be sitting there on a Friday night looking at your phone and waiting for people, but there's a lot of comments sitting on your Facebook pages that are just dying on the vine, and I'd like to fix that. So the other thing is, contrary apparently to popular belief, it doesn't cost you anything to like a tweet. It doesn't cost you anything to follow someone back. It doesn't cost you anything to engage with them, but we're so stingy with those things. And I really want you to understand that that's part of the joy, is giving and then receiving. So giving without any expectation and then receiving from your audience. So once you're listening and you find out what people are saying about you, I would like you, first of all, to get into the comments section, because I really believe that a comment that is sitting on your Facebook page that is unanswered, every time that happens, a puppy dies somewhere. And someone, like, it's just an expression. Like, it's not really happening. So I want to show you a couple examples. And again, I went as far away from here as I could, so hopefully you're not mentioned in this. The British Columbia Construction Association has someone that put a comment on their page saying like, oh, is this the same program but just with a different name? Crickets. So that's not super difficult to answer, but we're just in that one-way mode. They're probably not even listening for that. So you had this opportunity, you put this content out, you wanted someone to engage with it, and when they did, you ignore them. Here's another example. This is the British Columbia Lung Association. Someone put a big comment on there. It wasn't necessarily positive, but just no response. And it's an opportunity to engage. Now, here's an example of someone who did it right. The BC Cooperative Association. Someone left a comment, which again wasn't necessarily positive, and then the organization immediately responded, thanks for your feedback, we're going to send it to the board, yada, yada, yada. So there's that engagement, and the person who wrote the note feels kind of fulfilled, and that circle's complete, and you've strengthened a relationship one at a time. So we're going to get sort of ninja level now. One of the things that you can do in terms of listening is on Twitter, they have that little search bar at the top of the page, and when you type in a word, you can search for things. But then what comes up is you have the option to open up advanced search, and you get a page that looks like this. So you have the ability to search for specific words, specific phrases. You can get very, very specific in terms of dates and languages, and the most important one for you, geography. You can pick a city or a location and have your results come back based on that. So you can find out what people are saying about your association or your issues in real time in your neighborhood, which is an invaluable tool. And I don't know why Twitter doesn't market that, because I think it's one of their best features. So instead of you sending out content and trying to just accidentally hit people with it, you can reverse engineer it, find out who's talking about it, and then have engagements with them. So this is an example that I've used for a couple of years, and I like to use it because it's ridiculous. It's about strawberries. But I came up with some updated versions of the engagement. So UBC Farm, again, I'm getting my examples as far away as I can. They send out a note saying that they're trying to get volunteers for a strawberry picking festival. And as you can see, it wasn't exactly viral. They had 4 likes, 6 retweets, and half of the retweets are from organizations that are affiliated with them. So it's like their mom, their neighbor, and their sister. So they didn't get a ton of response. Now, what would happen if you took the term strawberries, put it into Twitter Advanced Search in the neighborhood that place is in Vancouver, and then reverse engineered those results? What you would get is content like this. This is from July 9th. I like to eat the whole box of strawberries, which apparently he didn't because he left 4 in there. Someone who's having bacon and strawberry pancakes. And another person, today's harvest from our backyard, strawberries. These are all in the last week or two and all from that neighborhood. And so what you would do as an organization is you would engage with those tweets. You would like them, have a comment, retweet it, follow them. And then again, it's a one-to-one marketing, but you've strengthened that relationship, and you already know they like what you're selling, right? So you're gonna have more likelihood to get people picking you up. And here's another one as well. Making fresh ice cream out of those you-pick strawberries, probably the best idea I've had all year. So customer service is another example. For Twitter, we can use it as a customer service tool. And again, there's a disconnect in terms of the way that we think we're doing customer service and the way that our audiences are receiving it. So 80% of businesses think that they're doing a great job of customer service when it comes to social media. When they ask their customers, 8% of them thought they were doing a good job. So when someone sends you a tweet or a note or a question about membership fees or dues or dates or coverage or whatever, are you responding to them in those channels? And if you're not, it's a huge lost opportunity. And I know that a lot of you aren't, because I'm going and I'm checking out those pages. I want to give you a couple examples of this happening in real time. So this woman sends a tweet to Whole Foods. When do you start the Thanksgiving foods in your buffet? So she sends it just not to her store, just to the brand Whole Foods. You would think that that's a tweet that Whole Foods would ignore, but they responded to it and actually wanted to do the heavy lifting for her. So they said, let's check with your local store. Where do you shop? Now, this is going to be a pain in the butt for someone to have to do, but they had this opportunity to engage with that customer and strengthen that relationship, and they did. Another individual sent one to Starbucks. Does my friend have to be with me for the share event? She's sick, and I wanted to surprise her. Why does Starbucks, the multi-billion-dollar organization, respond to that tweet in a one-on-one level? Because it matters. That's where the relationships are built. So I want you to, I don't want to beat a dead horse here, but I want you to start listening to what people are saying, start engaging, mix it up, get in there, sprinkle some likes, pretend you have a little bucket of kindness, and you just kind of fling kindness around through social media, and you'd be amazed at what some of the results are. Now, images are huge. This is something that you'll notice on your Facebook page that, when it first came out in 2007 and 8 and 9, when we were all saying, I'm never going to have a Facebook page, and then in 2009 and 10 and 11, we all started getting them. Everything was text, and then it went to pictures, and now it's all cat videos and all those different things. But in terms of images, I want you to understand that it doesn't take a lot of time or effort to put great images on your posts, and the ROI and the engagement is huge. Content with great images gets 94% more views, which is huge. And great, relevant visual content is going to be shared 40 times more likely. And you don't need to be any Leibowitz to take these pictures. Again, you can take them with your phone. You can get stock photos, and I can share some sites with you, and some of you already know what those are. By the way, this is Annie Leibowitz's signature. I know you had a guy up here talking about handwriting yesterday. I'd be fascinated to know what he thinks about that little swirly, loopy thing at the end there. But the one that I use is Shutterstock. That's the site that I go to. I get photos. I guess on average, they're probably about $10 or $11 each. Beautiful, royalty-free. No one's going to sue you. It's not those blurry things that you guys are copying off Google and putting on your websites, which is not great. But there's a million of them out there. I'm not condoning any specific one, but start getting great images. And again, you have this amazing camera right in your pocket. So how many of you are familiar with the tool Canva? Anybody? There's more hands every year, which is great. So I'd say there's probably 20 or 30 people in this room. This could be the most valuable tip that I give you today is, because again, I'm a words guy. I'm not a designer. If anyone is a designer, they're probably cringing at some of the slides that I've put together here. But Canva, I call it Design for Dummies. C-A-N-V-A. You go to their site, they have a free version, and there's a paid version where you get extra features. I put all of my presentations together on Canva. It's an amazing tool, and one of the reasons that I love it the most is because it saves you time. So when you're putting posts together for social media, what you'll often see is you'll put together an image for Twitter, and then you want to put some words on top of it. Our conference is taking place July 11th to 13th. Then you post it on Twitter, and you see that the words are cut off. So you have to delete it and do it again, and the words are cut off on the other side, and you have to delete it and do it again. What I love about this is you can see in the top row, you can pick exactly what you want to create. Is it a PowerPoint slide? Is it a widescreen PowerPoint slide? Is it an Instagram post, a Facebook post, a LinkedIn post? And what you get is the exact right size canvas for you to create your content in. And I'm going to show you an example of this in real time, but it just saves you a ton of time. You can actually go and source a photo, download it, put it in the presentation, put some words on it, and get it on Twitter in about 4 minutes, which is amazing. So I want to show you the difference that great images can make. I got a couple random ones from out there. Today's the last day for any art contest submissions. Who wants to win tickets for their class? This is an ugly tweet. Right? There's not a lot going on. As you can see, it's not exactly Gangnam Style in terms of the view count. One retweet. Now, I went on to Shutterstock, because I've got an account there, and I went in and I looked for some images, and I found one that I thought would be appropriate for this, and I put a tweet together. I timed myself. It took me less than 4 minutes, and it cost me about $10, which is not a lot of time. And so what I came up with was this. Attention, Junior Picassos, today's the last chance for your submissions. Win tickets for your class, and I actually inserted a link because the last one didn't have one. And that image is going to be much more captivating to the viewer going through, and it's going to be much more likely to catch their attention. Here's another one. Saskatchewan Archaeologist Society. It's the last day to vote for Saskatchewan's provincial fossil. Right? So I have a couple issues with this. The first one is there's no image. Like, this is not the gastroenterological guys. This is like Jurassic Park, and they're not taking advantage of an image. And so the other issue that I have with that, and I'm going to talk about that in a bit, is that they have a link now to Facebook. So it's a tweet with a link. So now I have to do homework. I have to go to somewhere else and look at it. So again, 4 minutes, $10. I came up with this. That's going to be more likely to catch people's attention. So I want to show you in real time how quickly I can put one of these together. So this is, some of you may have seen a tweet that I sent out the other day saying I was looking forward to being here, and I had the title screen for my presentation. I want to show you the building of that slide in real time, and I'll talk you through it. So I go to Canva. I've already purchased and downloaded the photo, so I go and I find that. I click on the photo, I bring it in. Now that canvas there is exactly the right size for Twitter. I get it to about the size that I want. And also, the reason I have a guy like a mechanic is you got to get under the hood. You got to get busy. You got to get doing things and stop putting it off. So I start grabbing some text. I go and find my favorite font, which is Oswald, by the way, because strangely people ask me after the fact, what font is that you use? I make sure it's justified. I drag it over. And as you can see, you get those cool little lines telling you when it's kind of even with all the other text, which is great. I put some more text in there, which is the subtitle of the presentation, Stop Pushing and Start Engaging. I drag that over, make it the right color, and as you can see, kind of gives you a little guide, so everything's like perfectly justified and nice. I change the spacing, because I think it just looks a little nicer. So as you can see, I'm going through this, and this is in real time. This isn't sped up. This is me putting this thing together on my computer. I want to show you how quickly you can put together a decent piece of content for Twitter. I slide that over. I think that becomes like the date and London, Ontario. So now I go and download that image to my computer. I drag it over to my desktop. I open up Twitter. Really looking forward to speaking with the CSA Trillium Summer Summit folks about social media this Friday, who's going to be there. Always have to have your hashtags in there. Hopefully you guys have been using your hashtags this week. I throw the image in there. I add another little line, looking forward to seeing everyone. Tweet, there it is. That took me about 4 minutes. And so the fact that you guys are doing these things and not having nice images or videos on them is crazy. So I just want to show you what the engagement looked like on that tweet. I took this screenshot last night, 1,357 impressions, 45 engagements, 19 likes, and you go down the list. Respectable numbers. Again, it's not, it wasn't, I wouldn't say that that's like hitting it out of the park. It's like a nice single or a double, but you do that on a daily basis, one-to-one marketing. So I want to jump into video now. By the way, Hamilton, great video this morning, very nicely done. Again, I don't know how I got in it, but congratulations on that. Video is the place where you need to be playing these days. So how many organizations have put a video together in some way, shape, or form on any platform in the last 6 months? It's about half of the room, which is amazing, and one is very vigorously waving at the back. So video is huge right now, absolutely huge. The number of daily video views on all the platforms is like mind-bogglingly staggering, and basically it's human physiology. People are more likely to watch a 30-second video than they are to read a block of text, and that kills me as a words guy, but I think you need to understand that that's where the eyeballs are, and it's also how do we tell those stories in a video format. So 51% of marketing pros say video has the best ROI of any marketing tactic. I don't know what the other 49 are smoking, because I'm not sure what they think. Is it trade magazines? Because I don't think it is. And as the editor of one, I'm not saying that in a negative way. I know where the eyeballs are these days. If you want some proof, the metrics say that just having the word video in the subject line of an email out to your audiences, to your members, increases the open rates, increases the click-through rates, increases the conversions, and decreases the number of people who unsubscribe from your email list, which is just like a dagger in your heart when you have those unsubscribes. Just using videos does all those things. So, and the video doesn't even have to be good. That's just having the word video in the subject line. Then what I'd like to talk about is, once we get them to click on that, I want to make sure that the video is somewhat decent. Now, this is something that I've been doing increasingly over the last couple of years. I am actually, some people are surprised to realize this, I'm a very introverted person, and I don't like being on camera. I tell people I got a great face for radio, and so I like being the guy behind. Not enough people laughed at that, I have to say. I like to be the guy, they're like, yeah, he kind of does, yeah. So I like to be the guy behind the camera instead of in front of it. But again, I realize where the eyeballs are. And so what I've been doing, as you can see, there's a guy at the back of the room. Hey, Matt, how you doing? Videotaping this. Matt is from Hamilton, and he's here today to videotape this. And I've gotten him to tape probably like 7 or 8 of these talks. And then what I'll go to my office and I'll chop them up into 30 or 40-second little pieces and put them on LinkedIn or Instagram. And what you'll see is that the engagement and the views are huge. On some of them, like 7, 8, 900, 1,200 views and a lot of engagement. And I can tell you that over the course of months, that awareness funnel converts into business and new relationships, and which is great, but it's because you got their attention with video. So this is what a couple of those look like over the past couple of years. As you can see, I ditched my trademark black shirt today. And then, so this is what that looks like on my YouTube page. Now you're gonna see some of them have 40 views, 30 views, 20 views. That's not the point, is for people to view them in YouTube. What I do is I have them live on YouTube and I embed them in other places so that people can see them. I put them on LinkedIn or Twitter or whatever, but they're nice and short. I don't think there's any of them that are more than a couple minutes long. So I don't want to make this a Best Buy commercial, but in terms of the stuff that you need to put decent videos together, again, you can probably do it with an iPhone. This is the kit that I use. It's not super top end, but I think it's a nice entry level. Get yourself a decent DSLR camera that shoots video and importantly has an external mic input because the sound quality is really, really, really important and not all cameras have that, especially at the lower price points. Invest in a light, just a couple $100s. It makes a huge difference so it doesn't look like an ISIS hostage video that's been shot in a dark room and it's like, the editing software you need is already on your computer. Make sure you load up on memory cards or hard drives. An external mic, like a wireless mic, like the one that I'm wearing right now with the little backpack thing, is really, really important. I've been using this with my clients. The difference between great audio and terrible audio is huge. It's enough to make somebody click out. So I really encourage you to do that. And don't cheap out on the tripod. Don't get the $19.99 thing at like Zellers or whatever. Zellers, it's not a thing anymore. Target's not a thing anymore. Walmart, yeah, don't go to get the 1999 because it's going to break and it's going to fall over and your camera's going to get destroyed, so don't cheap out on the tripod. So I could talk about video all day, but I know we don't have a ton of time, so just a couple quick tips. Show, don't tell, right? Shoot some images, like get some B-roll, get some interesting things, not just a talking head on a screen. Make sure that it's one idea per video. Don't try to conquer the world. Have 30-second, 40-second, 1 minute, 2-minute little videos with one core idea that people can get into. Use B-roll. Someone used that term. If you don't know that, it's a journalism industry term where it's not just a talking head. It's images of things happening or our production line or behind the scenes or those kind of establishing shots that you had in the Hamilton video, which were great. Don't make it a report. Don't make it a PowerPoint presentation with music because that's not really a video. It's just a PowerPoint presentation that you put on YouTube. Keep them nice and short. And if you need to, use storytelling elements, right? Situation, conflict, resolution, have a little mini story arc in there. Here's a problem that we had. Here's what our CEO did to fix it. Here's what we're doing now. And oh my God, this is amazing. And that's the end of your video. And importantly, keep at it. Because I see so many accounts that started doing videos in 2013 and they stopped a couple months later. Or they did 4 videos and they didn't really get a lot of views and they stopped. And one of the things is you really need to be persistent and trying new things and keeping at it and learning as you go. Obviously, if something's not working, you need to tinker and change some things. And the biggest piece of advice I would give you is to copy what great organizations are doing. Find organizations that are doing a great job with these things and take their tactics. It doesn't matter if they're the Geographers Association of America. Find out some of the things that they're doing. How often do they tweet? How often do they reply? How many people do they follow? You can get some really good insights into that and steal some of their content. So we're touching on one of my biggest pet peeves right now is that a lot of times what people will say is we need to get this piece of content on social media. So they create a piece of content and they just shove it out through every platform. Pinterest, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, whatever. They take the same thing and they shove it out in all those different platforms. And it doesn't work because if you think about it, your psychology, your state of mind is different when you open up your phone and you go to each of those. When you go to Facebook, your mindset is completely different than when you go to Twitter. When you go to Facebook, you want to find out what your friends and family are doing. When you go to Twitter, you want to find out the latest dumb shit that Donald Trump said, which apparently he said some this morning. So, and when you go to Instagram, it's a different psychology. So what I'd like you to do is just take a couple minutes to customize your content based on the channel. So here's what a couple of fails look like. This is a terrible tweet. It's just a link to Facebook. Like, you do it. So now I've got homework to do. Here's another one from a UFO festival. If you think of, if anything's super sexy, UFOs and aliens and Area 51, and again, it's just here's a link to Facebook, right? And sometimes some organizations have this automated. It just sends it out, just disconnect those. Don't do that. The puppies are dying as well when you do that. And so the UFO guy had me really curious, so I wanted to go in and see what they're doing. And so this is what their page looks like. It's crazy. Here's another one. This is an association out west. I don't know if this is a personal joke or an insight. I have no idea, but this is a public tweet on their page. Hey, Val, bunch of smiley faces, probably 4 too many, and then a link to Facebook, which I don't understand. And here are a couple others from their page. They have links to Facebook on Twitter, which is it's a broken connection. You're asking the visitor, the viewer, to do more work. And as you can see, no engagement on any of those tweets. So the other thing that we're saying, I don't want to focus just on Twitter, Instagram. Instagram is a visual platform. We go there to see images, whether it's a car or a cat doing a trick or some kind of cool product shot or selfie from a conference. And so I found this one last night. I was working, people were asking, where were you last night? I was finding terrible examples on social media. So here's one from the Canadian Grain Growers Association. And this is, so basically they have an issue. They can't get enough train cars to transport their grain to other parts of the country. And in one particular month, only 17% of the train cars that they wanted were available, which is horrible. But this is how they chose to communicate that on Instagram. Can anybody, even in the front row, see that? And I blew that up as big as it can be. I want you to see what it looks like on their actual page. It's the one on the far right. That's what it looks like. If anybody can read that, you need a Hubble telescope to see what any of those lines say. And as you can see, they had 3 likes, again, from their mother, their sister, and their neighbor. Not a lot of engagement. Now, they had a different one as well on Instagram. This is another shot of a website. Now I'm supposed to be engaged by this because I can't even read the left and the right side of the page. Like, yeah, thanks. I know that the internet's a thing, but like, I don't know what your issue is. So, again, I'm not saying I'm a great designer. I'm probably a horrible one. But I was sitting in bed last night. I took about 5 minutes and $10, and I put this together, right? Isn't that a better image and I put the little Canadian maple leaf there on myself. I thought that was a great little touch. The point is, more people are going to click on this and then read about your issue, and then read about Bill C-49 or whatever it is. So again, would you rather see this or that, right? This or that? I feel like I'm at the optometrist. Is it better like this or like this? So one of the organizations that I work with is RPNAO, and Registered Practical Nurses Association of Ontario. I don't handle their social media, but I sort of advise them from time to time. But the woman they have there is fantastic, Holly. But I want to give you a sample of what their different platforms look like. So this is their Facebook page. And this is their CEO. Met the new health minister yesterday. And this is their Twitter account. You can see a different feel, it looks like a good Twitter page. And here's their Instagram, which they just joined a couple months ago. I've been kicking and screaming, dragging them into the Instagram era, and it's turning out to be one of their biggest platforms of engagement. So, even if you can pick a nice photo, even if you can shoot a nice video, the last key piece is storytelling. That's one of the biggest things that's actually missing from a lot of our organizations today, is telling better stories. And how do we do that? Now, I could tell you how to do it, but I think I'd rather show you how to do it. It's probably less boring for you and hopefully more useful. So if you think of, again, we talked about geographers and the scientists and funeral directors and all these non-sexy professions, I would put Google in that same category. Google is obviously a huge, successful company, but search engines are not super sexy. But Google put a commercial together, a 51-second commercial, talking about how great Google is. Now, if you were going to do that, how would you do it? A lot of organizations would just have a guy sitting there and talking about numbers of stats and amounts of nanoseconds and brain power and all these different things. But Google went the other way, and they embraced storytelling. And I want to show you what that video looked like. I didn't make it. So as you're watching that, I'm watching you. And you laughed, and you all almost cried at the end. That was 51 seconds, and it's a search engine. So think about that. And in terms of the production values, it was just somebody clicking on links, right? And maybe $3 worth of royalty-free music and a baby giggling. Like, this was not a high-tech thing, but people put more creativity into it. So how can we tell our stories in a more creative way? We get into another pet peeve of mine, which is personal trainers on social media, specifically Instagram and all those different places. So when you see, how many people have these people in their feeds? Is it just me? When you see a personal trainer on social media, how are they? Now again, the end goal is they want you to follow them, and ideally they want you to be your personal trainer. They want to have that engagement, and you say, wow, they're so strong or so amazing, or they can jump so high or do those rope things, whatever that is, that I want them to be my trainer. But again, if you put the hashtag personal trainer into Instagram, you get 72 million results. So how are you going to elevate yourself to the top of that? And I would tell you that it's through storytelling. Now, who in this room has heard of a guy named Gary Vaynerchuk? Hands, it's probably like 20% of the room. For my money, the best social media practitioner in the world. And so if you're not following him, I would do that immediately. Actually, if you want to win that other book, send a tweet to him. He'll probably tweet you back. The guy's got millions of followers, but he actually engages in real time. He eats his own dog food when it comes to this stuff. The reason I tell you that is that there was a personal trainer that he hired. He realized he was kind of getting out of shape. He hired a personal trainer. This personal trainer is named Mike Vacanti. That's another guy that you should probably send something to because he might get back to you as well. Mike Vacanti is a personal trainer. He's in his 20s. There's nothing remarkable or special about him except for the fact that he worked for the best social media practitioner in the world. And he started looking at what he was doing, and he copied what he was doing and applied it to personal training. Now, what you usually see when you see personal trainers on social media is you see stuff that looks like this. Congratulations, I'm really happy you can do all that stuff, but that doesn't inspire me to click on your link and have a relationship with you. Mike Vacanti took a storytelling approach. So he put a video together. It was released on December 25th, 2015, and it was called Why Fitness Actually Matters. And it has nothing to do with him, doesn't talk about his services, doesn't talk about how great shape he's in. He's telling the story of why senior citizens, again, it's not even his target market, why senior citizens should be in better shape. And I'd like to show you just a couple minutes of this 4-minute video. I'm not going to show you the whole thing, but just the intro to it.
One of the top reasons why a person checks into assisted living is because they can't get off the toilet. Because they can't do a half rep of a body weight squat to get off the toilet. And so they have to have someone taking care of them. I want to make this video specifically because fitness is marketed towards young people. Fitness is seen as abs and sex and vanity. It's seen on magazine covers, and no one is paying attention to what matters, and that is staying stronger and maintaining lean tissue as you get older and moving around and keeping your diet on point is going to help you live longer. It's going to make your life better.
So the video goes on. Some of you may have seen it. I see people's heads nodding. I was actually in a session one time, and some woman put up her hand and said, yeah, he's my personal trainer. We check in on YouTube. You know how many personal training clients he's had in the last 3 years? Like 30,000. So his business tripled within a month of putting out this video. I checked the other day, it's got 11 million views, 11 plus million views, 46,000 comments, a bunch of engagements, and he's gone through every one of those comments and responded to them in person, like by hand. All those comments he's actually responded to. Like, a lot of people in this room won't even do that for our birthdays when like 18 friends say happy birthday to us. Right? What do? The next day we're like, thanks everybody for all the birthday love. So if you're not willing to put in the time, like, right, so anyway. The other thing, the sad reality is that in a 2018 world, you're gonna have to get out your Visa card or your MasterCard, and you're gonna have to pay to have that reach amplified because the days of organic reach are over, and everyone's always complaining, oh, they changed the algorithm again. It doesn't matter. If you tell great stories, and if you cater them to your audiences, and you reverse engineer and you start listening, that's not gonna matter so much. But again, what Facebook has done, it's one of the reasons they're making billions of dollars a year in advertising revenues, and why the classified section of every newspaper in the world has disappeared is because of Facebook. The targeting abilities are amazing. If you wanted to send a piece of content that just reached people named Karen with blue eyes who had cats living in Kitchener, you could do that today. And that's an amazing tool. And it's actually, I would say, underpriced. For what you can get bang for your buck in the marketing world, I would say that Instagram ads, Facebook ads right now, even like LinkedIn, if we're talking about associations, the bang for your buck you get advertising on those platforms, when you do it properly, when it's not just an ad, but it's a piece of content that's targeted to an audience, is unsurpassed. And I can tell you that the cost of that is going to go up. As a lot of larger organizations, and even as a lot of folks in this room get on the bandwagon, you're going to see the same thing happen that we saw with Google AdWords. Remember when Google AdWords first came out and we could get our keywords for like a nickel, and then it was 10 cents, and now it's like $8. So the same thing is going to happen, and I would encourage you to get in there quickly. The other thing, and I mentioned this earlier, is I want you to start copying what other people are doing. It's the shortest shortcut to success. Find organizations. They don't even need to be in the same business or industry as you. Go, those geographers are killing it again. Go check out their site. Don't go to the poultry guys. They're not doing very well. But go to the geographers. Find out what they're doing and copy some of their tactics on all the different platforms, and you'd be amazed at what some of the results are. Now, to just get tactical at the end, I want to talk about a couple of quick things that have been added to some of these platforms in the last couple of years that might be of use to you and that have been used to some of my clients in a really positive way. One of them is Twitter Threads. I don't know if everyone in this room knows what this is, but one of the big complaints about Twitter is you could only send out one tweet at a time, and it was kind of limited to 140, now it's 280, but it's still not super long. If you've got a sort of an argument that you want to make, now you have the ability to do that. You can go in, and again, associations deal with nothing but issues, right? So you can go in, create a tweet, and you'll see a little plus sign at the bottom of it, and you click on the plus sign, and it opens up another tweet, but they're connected. So you can have a nice little string of tweets that people can go into, and as opposed to having to go back and find them, you can open one, and you have them all there, and it's an amazing way to tell a more complex story, because I know you guys have complex stories that you need to deal with. Another way to get people to engage is polls. People love polls. So do you prefer this or that? Or do you want our convention to be here or there? What are your opinions on such and such? And you're going to get great engagement. When it comes to Facebook, one of the big ones is obviously Facebook Stories, and Instagram's got the same thing, but we all know what the Stories feature is, the little circles at the top. So it's not content that you want to have living on your page, but it's like little, earlier today, I took a shot of the room and I put that on my Instagram story page, so you can see it. But it's a great way to get, and for associations, show people behind the scenes. What are you working on? What are some things that they might want to know about? And you can do that in stories. It's a perfect place to do it. Have any associations in this room done a Facebook Live event yet? Anybody? 1, 2, 3, 4, less than 10. It's an amazing tool, again, in a 2018 world. You need to put some thought into the production. There's it's like running your own little Regis and Kathy Lee, or whoever the new Regis is. It's like Ryan Seacrest or whatever. But you need to put some thought into creating this event, and most importantly, tell people in advance. Tell them a week ahead that we're going to be doing this at 3 o'clock on Thursday afternoon, so that they know to be there. The Nursing Association that I work with ran one of these on May 30th. They advertised it for a couple weeks. They got reps from different nursing associations to sit around a table. They did it on Facebook Live, and they got 6,000 views, which is great because they're a very small, targeted organization and a ton of feedback. When it comes to Instagram Stories, take advantage of this. And how many associations in this room are on Instagram right now? That's not enough. So in terms of eyeballs, again, we live our lives differently than we run our businesses. Instagram is probably one of the biggest places, and our PNAO just got on there, and again, I was dragging them kicking and screaming over the last couple of years, like, we're on Twitter, we're on Facebook, it's just another thing, but you have to go where the eyeballs are, right? And you have to follow the engagement. So Instagram stories are huge. The other thing that I would really advise you to do is get a business account. So when you open up Instagram and get an account, you just have a normal personal account. What I'd like you to do is get a business account. There's a little button in settings. It doesn't take a lot of time, and you have to have a Facebook advertising account to do it. But what it allows you to do is having a tremendous amount of insights, and then people can actually click a button and call and email your organization. Here's how you do it. I don't want to get into a ton of the details, but that's how that works. So I want you to copy what people are doing. I want you to make sure that you put a listening protocol into place. I want you to at least start tinkering, or if you're not going to be the tinkerer, tell the person who's doing it what to do. And I want you guys to know what to look for and what to be urging them to do. Make sure that you're using proper visuals. Make sure that your video game is on point. And I would actually encourage every association in this room to do at least one video in the next month. Make sure you're not sending out Facebook links on Twitter. Customize your content a little bit for the channel, and make sure that you're using those storytelling elements. Thank you very much, and I think we have a couple minutes.